Well, hello there, everyone, and welcome back to Suzerain, Kingdom of Rizia, where last episode we sold off some of our energy. Well, we spent the remainder of our budget to renew the palace sanctuary and to build a new sanctuary for one of the minority religions, and hopefully that will bring down religious tensions whilst placating the religious majority. Um, we also sold some of our energy, reserves, and used it to fund a new university. Hopefully, that will pay off in the future. Now, we have a briefing on our current security situation. Unfortunately, the option to host that concert seemed to have disappeared. If I knew it would have disappeared, I would have gone there before the consecration. But let's go onwards to the Security Council. On the way back from the Plavo Arc Sanctuary, I met with my council in the city of Dator, Folke Dator, however you want to pronounce it, for a briefing on our security and military situation. The so-called Forge of Rizia was famous for its numerous foundries and factories, in which iron from the nearby hills was transformed into rifles and handguns. Largest of them was the Royal Folke Foundry, responsible for supplying the Rizian police and military. The red brick complex towered at the end of the King's Avenue, Folkedator's main road. My council and I were given a tour of the facilities before settling around the table in the foundry's great hall. Murals on the walls around us depicted the city's history as an industrial center. As Duchess of the province and my war and security counselor, Lucita sat at the head of the table. She nodded at us, at the rest of us. Your Majesty, Your Highness, my esteemed fellow councillors, I planned this meeting here so that the king would have a shorter journey after his consecration ceremony. I'm sure the proceedings were very taxing, Your Majesty, whatever they were. It was fine. You know how it is. Let's hope that something useful came out of all that. Saul was sitting across from me, still wearing his robes. He smiled enigmatically. Religion is not a tool to be used, Mr. Zaro. It is a guiding light that shines even on those who do not believe in it. Sure, of course. Hugo nodded approvingly. I know better than to pry into the contents of the ceremony, Your Majesty, but I will say I hope it was an enlightening experience. You may proceed with your briefing, Duchess Zaro. With great pleasure, Your Grace. She gestured at one of the murals on the wall. It depicted a beautiful but severe-looking woman riding a horse down the King's Avenue, her rifle at the ready. My ancestress, Anna Azaro, ordered the construction of this foundry in 1812, immediately after the end of the War of Rizian Succession. House Azaro knows that peacetime is not a period of rest, it is a time to gather our strength and hone our weapons for when they are next needed, because they most certainly will be needed. Yeah, we can also use peacetime to form new alliances and improve international relations. Strength is about more than just weaponry. Well said, Your Majesty. Alliances can shift, treaties can be broken. We should not be so naive as to assume every nation will respect diplomatic boundaries. I could hear the passion rising in her voice. The failed campaign on Palace and the rebellion of 1926 served as a double blow to the Rizian armed forces. Even after my father purged the troops and general staff of all suspected traitors to the throne, His Majesty's King Valero was reluctant to restore our military to its former strength. As a result, Your Majesty, we are ludicrously under-equipped for a country of our size. Well, this is a significant challenge. We can't simply throw money at it. We need to be efficient. Efficiency is key. We must strategically allocate resources, perhaps starting with the most outdated sectors and gradually expanding our focus as funds allow. Now, a word about our military priorities. Focusing on the Air Force offers us a chance to establish aerial superiority, but it requires precise investments in procurement and fleet expansion. We will also be training a paratrooper division under this initiative. The strength of our Rizian armed forces lies in the diversity of our resources and units. We have manpower ready for duty as long as they're equipped with the necessary gear. Training these units, however, isn't an instantaneous process. Each unit from military to naval requires preparations. Ultimately, it is the readiness of our forces that will determine how well we can uphold our sovereignty and carry out our military strategies. Um, okay, how do we plan to adapt our military training to ensure our forces are capable of meeting modern demands? Our training programs are being revamped to include combined arms tactics, ensuring interoperability amongst all service branches. In any case, as the commander of our armed forces, the final decisions rest with you. Um, your diligence is appreciated, Duchess. Begin the preparations. I will deliver my instructions shortly after the meeting. She nodded with satisfaction. If our kingdom took anything away from Pallas and the rebellion, it's that we learned the deadly cost of unpreparedness. Our troops must reflect Rizia's resilience, ensuring such blows never weaken us again. We can achieve this thanks to my house. Camp Domus still runs the most rigorous, high quality training program on the continent, right, Captain Gordian? With lightning speed, she reached under the table, pulled out a knife, and hurled it at the direction of the doorway. Titus languidly snatched it out of the air. Uh, you brought a weapon to the council meeting, Duchess? No. Um, yeah, you made your point. No need to put on a show. Sorry, Your Majesty. The spirit of Anna Azaro must have overtaken me, of course. She grinned briefly before regaining her poise. But my point stands. There is still much work to be done. Okay, sure. If I were to increase government investment in the military, what are the areas most in need of improvement? Not even sure where to begin, Your Majesty. Okay, our weapons? Lucy decided. Despite our very grand surroundings, we have long neglected the potential of Folke Dator. Rumburg currently supplies us with the bulk of our weaponry, including their K-74 rifles. But if we invested more into research, development, and production in the city, our small arms industry could become a real force to be reckoned with, creating jobs and export opportunities as well. So it sounds like a win-win. Um, yeah, I imagine that would give a boost to the local economy as well. It would, Your Majesty, as long as there were enough people available to fill the new positions that would be created. We would unfortunately still have to rely on Rumburg for weaponry such as missiles, although I've also seen promising developments in Derdia. Um, a weapons deal with Derdia could improve our relations between our countries. It would depend on what they demand in return, Your Majesty. But I've set aside time to discuss Derdia during our upcoming foreign policy meeting. I look forward to that conversation, Mr. Esquivel. Where were we, Your Majesty? How about our Navy and Air Force? Our Navy has actually made significant strides in the past 30 years. We are a coastal nation, after all, and our fleet is both well trained and up to date. Our submarines could use improvement, though, compared to those currently coming out of Rumburg and Valdsland, they are practically ancient. Our Air Force, meanwhile, is still suffering the consequences of the Palace campaign. Lorenzo nodded gloomily. We did not foresee that Lesbia would become so heavily involved, nor that Tete would provide the Grand Duchy with cutting edge aircraft. Um, so hypothetically speaking, if we tried to reconquer Palace again, they'd rain death on us from above. Hypothetically, yes, we're more well balanced in the sea. And then there's the question of our numbers. She shook her head. They could be better. As you know, our central royal army is fed both by general conscription and levies from the individual provinces. If you ask me, the provincial armies should be pulling more weight, though I do understand that those of Brennas and Valancourt are not nearly as well trained as Cardes and Monteclars are. I would also suggest extending the length of our conscription period and lowering the conscription age from 24 back to 18. Why did my father raise the age to 24 anyways? 24 is the age by which a person's brain is fully formed, Your Majesty. Actually, that has been proven to be bullshit. Well, not proven to be bullshit. Just there's the evidence for that is not as convincing as people think. The reason that study says brains stop developing, like the study didn't say brains stop developing at 25 years. Um, the reason people think brains stop developing at 25 years is because the study only studied brain development until people of 25 years of age. They didn't study past it. So it is completely possible that our brains just continue developing our entire life. So 25 years of age is stupid. I do beg your pardon, Uncle Hugo. I mean no offense, Your Royal Highness, but young people, especially young men, tend to make irrational decisions before their age. Yes, stupidity. Indeed, Hugo, but stupidity does not seem to have biological causes, unfortunately. Hormonal, probably. Hormonal, possibly, but but uh, neurodevelopmental, not so much. Unless you have some kind of disability. In that case, it wouldn't be stupidity; it'd be disability. But anyways, they get a little too trigger happy. You mean? Not with proper training, Your Majesty. Time to move on to other matters. Does our internal security need improvement as well? Less so, Your Majesty. Our police forces have kept a firm hand on our populace since the uprising. Civil disobedience in Monteclar, for example, is at a historic low thanks to my zero tolerance policies as Duchess. Valancourt too. It's unlikely to pose major difficulties as long as House Torres is on the throne. And the central police headquarters in Rizia in Perry, have been keeping the capital secure. The members of House Sazon who rule Brenes have mostly fallen in line without the uprising. They're content to use the House of Delegates as a forum for their grievances. She took a deep breath. If there's a problem area, it's Isa. Uh, yeah, it's no surprise that giving part of Brenes to House Taurus would divide the region. No, indeed, Isa has been experiencing periods of unrest ever since the handover of Zilla and the exile of Duchess Angelica. But we are seeing complications having to do with the Vezek migrants who settled in the city after the Civil War. As I mentioned on our earlier meetings, sorry, some turned to the black market to supplement their needs, meager guest worker income, giving rise to organized crime. Hugo, you were in Niza during the 30s. Didn't you try to stop this? I implemented a community policing program. Ah, of course. I'm sure. I'm guessing this is the community policing, the type of community policing that New York and the UK and other places implemented, where you have undercover people going into mosques and spying, not the community policing that emphasizes contact with the community and building trust and all of that. But the criminal networks were too strong. We'll see the sniffed. In my opinion, the growing influence of the nationalist group Suamina has only inflamed tensions in the area. Certain members of House Torres may disagree, of course. Yeah, I agree completely. The provocations of people like my cousin will only stoke the flames of violence. The good Rizians of Visa are doing their best with the resources they've been given, Duchess, my son included. The problem, as I see it, lies in the lack of cooperation between the city's police and those of the surrounding region. Yes, I've received Duke Rico's complaints that the Brenes forces have not been providing him with as much aid as he wishes, as well as his requests that extra police from our central forces be transferred to Isa and placed under his command. Fat chance of that happening, but I don't think that would solve anything. Yeah, it would set a dangerous precedent. We could have the other provinces demanding the same. Exactly. Isa is a special case. I'm sure everyone is aware of that. Sure, it has nothing to do with your son being in charge there. I have the situation in control, Your Grace. You don't need to involve yourself with such a minor issue. Hugo opened his mouth to respond. Lucida pretended not to notice. Well, Your Majesty, shall we continue with the briefing? Sure. Well, what about our intelligence capabilities? They're just as important as our military strength. I was getting to that, Your Majesty. We have operatives in Morelia, Dardia, Central Velen, Lesbia, and Rumburg. His Majesty Valero, however, insisted on withdrawing our intelligence presence from Zilla and Palace. That's not a good idea. That's ridiculous. We need to keep a close watch on those regions. Yes, my father told him the same thing. He was afraid of drawing their leader's suspicions. In my experience, we have much more to gain from straightforward diplomacy than from cloak and dagger operations. Yes, like I'm not proposing we go to we start doing hostile actions. It's just that having no intelligence operations, uh, primarily intelligence gathering operations, is dumb. Mr. Escobar, if you think Velen and Palace are not spying on Rizia, you're fooling yourselves. Lorenzo sniffed indignantly. What useful information were we receiving from either region before the operatives' withdrawal? We learned of the prior Duke Nyolma's abdication before it was officially announced, for one. Can the agents in those regions be placed back in position? Again, merely for intelligence gathering. Now that they have been withdrawn, it will be a difficult and costly process to get them back into place, but I can inquire into the possibility. Um, okay, inquire and then I'll make my decision later. What about our domestic intelligence services? Domestically, our main intelligence focus has been on preventing another uprising. To that end, our information gathering has been concentrated in Brennus, where the last anti-monarchist movement originated. Um, what about your home turf? The military was involved in the last uprising as well. As I've mentioned, the military has been purged and my province is under the strictest of control. Any other questions, Your Majesty? Yeah, you've given me a lot to think about. Let's call it a day for now. The heavy wooden door to the hall cracked open. An aide rushed over to Lorenzo and whispered something in his ear. I see. I'll get to a telephone right away. He turned to the rest of us, his usual jocular expression overlaid with concern. I must excuse myself briefly, ladies and gentlemen. Please continue without me. What is it? I will explain once I have all the details. He gave a quick bow, then rushed out of the room. I wonder what that could be about. Anyway, if we leave soon, we can make it back to Port Drazon before it gets too late. She signaled to Titus, who tossed her knife back at her. In one fluid motion, she hiked up her gown, caught the projectile, and stowed it in a leather holster strapped to her thigh. She's using a gown? Doesn't seem like the gown type. Lower your hem, Duchess. For fuck's sake. Careful, that had a bad dream involving stabbing. Remind. Yeah, sure. Let's. Had a bad dream involving stabbing. Nobody's getting stabbed on my watch. Lucida readjusted her gown. An early return to the capital would be my preference as well, but where is Mr. Escobel? The door swung open again and Lorenzo came back to the hall. He wiped his brow with a silk pocket square. Well, Mr. Escobel, I hope you've brought us good news. It's too early to tell if it's good or bad, but it's definitely impactful. Just received official confirmation that our neighbor has been accepted into the Arcasian Treaty Organization. Lesbia? Precisely. Prime Minister Alvarez will make the official announcement tomorrow. Didn't we all see this coming? It should hardly be a surprise. Indeed, this development has been on the horizon for some time, but our relations with our neighbors are sure to change because of it. Thank you for updating us, Mr. Escobar. I suggest we set up a date for a meeting to discuss Lesbia's ATO membership, as well as our general foreign policy strategy. Yeah, preferably as soon as possible. We must decide our official stance. We are not expected to come out against or in favor of Lesbia's alignment, but we should get on the same page as a council. I'll inform our hosts that we'll be departing shortly. She pushed back her chair and briskly left the hall. I looked over at my daughter, her brow was frowned. The Caucasian Treaty Organization. What will that mean for us? I don't know, I suppose we'll find out. I had barely even started my reign, and it already felt like the ground was shifting beneath my feet. What other challenges lay in store? Okay, students hold walkout to protest treatment of labor hands. Rizian Armed Forces. I can add to training queue. Cool. Sure, let's train a tank regiment. Port regiment, and 3 more infantry regiments. Okay. Wonder how much this is going to cost me, though. -1 per turn in military expenditures. I would like to know how much this will increase military expenditures. Okay, train. Yes. Royal decrees. Raise base income tax. Not really. Remove death penalty. I would be pro this, but we can't afford to do it right now. Ensure religious education. Nope. With death penalty. Who's against? It requires budget, though. I'm assuming it's more expensive to keep them in. We have to budget for keeping them in prison. Build military equipment factory. Build support vehicle factory. Build tank factory. What else? Pay order. Full conscription age to 18. Okay, -2 budget, -3 authority, plus 1,000 manpower. Remove provincial police. Increase conscription duration by 12 months. Increase provincial levy obligation. Remove provincial levy obligation. Okay, right now we are excavating the ancient city. We're founding the university. We sold. We did a medium initial energy sale. And we signed the Sovereign Transition and Clemency Act, or decree, and we got a housing for the poor initiative, which should be good. Okay, I think that when we skip turn we get +5 budget. Should be able to see more shit. The Golden Kingdom. Okay, any news? Nope. No, not enough equipment to train any more forces. What's this? Golden Guard. It's auto elites. It says on levies, marines, mountaineers, mercenaries, and flagship. Should build a flagship. Council meeting on foreign relations. Oil field closure. Ah, shit, this is not good. -1 energy per turn. Concerning. Where one door closes, another opens. Oil workers commemorate closing field. Expand border guards. Launch anti-narcotics campaigns. Religious tax, no thank you. Residence and work permit for migrants. Legalizing illegal substances, yes please. Buy first batch of military equipment. Buy military planes. Buy ships. Buy military submarines. Purchase batch from international market. Sure. Just buying stuff. I'd like to sell, yeah. Yeah, let's sell some of our equipment. Okay, selling more will impact our authority. Okay, Monkey Sport and Naval Shipyard expansion. Military ship and submarine on completion. Military ship and submarine per turn on completion. It's expensive though. But I would like to increase shipyard production. Increase logistic hub. Establish Ramos Taurus and military academy. -2 authority. We have 7 authority, so we're pretty good. -1 energy per turn. Okay, so no, I don't want to lose energy per turn. We don't have. I would like to keep having a. Yeah, that's. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna build the dam. It's expensive, but I need that energy. I need the energy per turn. Anything else that I can get away with doing? Consumer industry would increase the economy. Building a hospital sounds interesting, but let's not construct anything else for now. -1 budget per. Why would it be -1 budget per turn? Am I subsidizing the play? Like, I want to do that, but -4 authority though. Sure. Let's sign let's create a naturalization process. And we can't afford to do anything else unless we sell more weapons. And that would cost us our last authority points, which I don't want to spend at the moment. Let's wait off on that, because war on drugs is not necessarily going to go well. But yeah, that is going to be it for this episode. Thank you all very much for watching. Please do remember to like, comment, and subscribe. As always, I have been Pope. Please, I was going to say, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe again. So, twice as hit that subscribe button as normal. I will see you all next time.